Hello, sacred souls. It's Susanna from Alamanic Shaman. What I have here for us today is a piece of wood that makes me think of the Loch Ness monster, or possibly a little bit like the sort of snake or serpent type dragon that they have in China, or had, like in legends and so on. Except more kind of like in water, which is why like I thought of the Loch Ness monster. Um, if you look like closer, I hope you can see it the way that I see it, but at the top left, that kind of looks like ears, and just a little bit to the right of that, that looks like an eye, and then clearly the snout. And then when you look down here, you can see how like it's actually kind of all warped and sort of serpent or S-shaped, right? So like especially this part is kind of really neat, I find. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked and getting lost in the shape here. So what that made me think of is I think the Loch Ness monster was or had a lot of like there were a lot of misconceptions about it, because in my opinion, and this might not be true, but I kind of have a strong feeling that it was an ancient creature that was left over probably more or less from the dinosaur times, where it might have just been one of those ancient animals that survived through the ages and was so deep somewhere in the oceans and water and lakes that in, I think it's in Scotland, right? That, in one lake, it actually survived into much more modern times. So, and then it made me think of how, we perceive it, or at least according to legends, right? We perceived it as a monster, same as actually dragons that were hunted down, that were considered monsters and evil and so on. Yet, when you look at animals in general, it's like they can be good and evil just like people can be good and evil, or can have, like, let's say, vicious traits in them that are either used for hunting other animals if, let's say, they're omnivores, or if they're meat eaters. But then at the same time, oh, and then they also need to, defend their young ones, their territory, and so forth. So, for example, where I make the fires, there's a raccoon that comes every night and is quite curious and comes really close to the fire, which is kind of really cute and neat. So I kind of started befriending it, and it's at a point where it actually eats out of my hand. I mean, obviously not all the time, but like I cracked nuts the other day and held them out in my hand, and it very gently like grabbed them from my hand, right? But the other night there was another raccoon, and suddenly they all got vicious with each other because, of course, they were like competing for the food and stuff, right? So it's like, yeah, we all have good and evil in us. So I want to use this for shadow integration. And basically, like with shadow integration, like within humans, and I'm sure it works the same for animals that were abused and stuff, like, dogs that were beaten and neglected and whatever, or like in India, elephants. I've watched a documentary and stuff. But basically, shadows are the dark aspects of ourselves that basically stem from trauma and abuse and maybe neglect, torture in some cases, or any other kinds of mal or mistreatment, anything like that. You get the point. So all of that trauma, hurt, pain, suffering turns a person darker, and that manifests in what we call shadows, right? And it's actually very interesting in like my journey where I've learned a lot of like shamanic tools basically through experiencing stuff. And since I'm an empath, I actually feel the energy. There was a time when I felt someone's vicious, evil, vile energy directed indirectly at me because I was standing kind of between two people, emotionally speaking, right? No, not a love triangle. It was more a family matter. Anyway, sorry, just thought that could be misconstrued. Anyhow, so those energies manifested so viciously. It's like stuff started breaking and malfunctioning all around me, and everything started going wrong around me. Suddenly, as I was driving, like drivers around me were all super aggressive and crazy and nuts and whatnot. So it's like that was her emotional damage that was directed at the other person, but as an empath and standing emotionally between them, I got it. I felt it, and like I felt the brunt of it. Like it was vicious, let me tell you. So that was her shadow. That was a very, very deep emotional wound that she carried. And when I called her on it, she denied it. And I think she wasn't even fully aware of what her energetic stuff is actually doing to people, because even someone who is not energetically as sensitive as I am, it's like they're still affected by it on some level, and that could manifest in maybe illness or bad luck or anything else. Anyway, I'm just looking at the time, and I don't want this video to turn super, super long. So I'm going to try to, wrap my thoughts up a little bit here. So to get back to the point, let us heal from all of our shadows. So the intent or the intention of this video is to ask for help pulling all of our shadows out, putting them in the fire for healing and transformation, and then once fully healed, they shall be reintegrated into us to make us whole and completed, in the sense of emotional healing, right? So that's an important part of healing from any childhood abuse and trauma, as well as anything else that happened in our youth, in our adulthood, at any point, right? This could also be applied to past lifetimes, because sometimes if, let's say, we were tortured in a past lifetime, that could still somehow affect us in this lifetime. So let's get started. Dear Creator, higher power, source, and soul energy, our higher selves, great spirits of and the higher sorry and the higher spirit guides of the light, our higher spirit guides of the light. And it's funny, I feel like some energies are trying to stop this from happening. Very interesting. I think there are some dark energies trying to run interference here. That's usually when my thoughts get all jumbled up. So let's start again. Dear Creator, higher power, source, and soul energy, our higher selves, our higher spirit guides of the light, and great spirit of the fire, which is just a little over there. It's dying down, so it's time that this wood goes in there. Please help us fully and completely heal from all of our shadows so that we can heal emotionally and become whole. And that shall help us in our ascension process into opening up more spiritually to the spirit world, to becoming and being more in oneness and having access to the higher wisdom and knowledge of the spirit realm. So let's put this in the fire. See, here's the eye and the ear. This looks kind of more like a nostril from a certain angle. I think it was more like here, and then here the snout. So anyway, let's bring this over here, and I'm gonna have to, whoa, that's amazing. The ashes almost look like snow. So it's almost like the cold emotions. It's like a cold heart. That's the sense I'm getting from this. And let me find the oil. I still have a little bit of oil so that this is actually going to burn better. Okay, so please pull all of our unhealed shadows. Wow, when I look at the fire, I don't actually see much of the smoke except in the camera. It's almost hard to see. So that's actually super bizarre. Okay. Yeah, again, supernatural. Okay. So let's pull all of our unhealed shadows out of ourselves. Let them all be pulled out and put in the fire with this sea serpent, let's call it, the Loch Ness monster. That shall represent and symbolize our shadows. Oh, sorry, I just really felt that energy move. Whew. Okay, please, Great Spirit of the Fire, burn away anything dark, evil, and low vibrational in our shadows. All that anger, hurt, pain, suffering, vicious, evil, vile, jealous, nasty energies and emotions. Any blame, guilt, self-loathing, self-hate, and any other negative emotions that stem from emotional abuse, neglect, and suffering. Let all of that darkness be burnt away, healed, and transmuted into love and light. And by love and light, I mean healing light and unconditional love. Let it be transmuted, healed, and then be returned to us for reintegration. It shall be. All of those healed shadows shall be returned to us for reintegration, to make us whole and complete, so that we don't carry kind of like a proverbial hole in our heart. Oh, I feel the energies become more peaceful. Okay, so take your time. Focus on your breathing, and I hope you're sitting somewhere peaceful, and just let yourself fully and completely relax and take them in. Let them all return to you and reintegrate. You can also watch this several times, because if not everything is done right away, in one session or sitting or video viewing, it will strengthen it, right? So some people have a lot of shadows that need healing. Some people may have less. So it really kind of depends on what happened in your life. But yeah, let's come to that peaceful inner state. Okay. Okay, thank you, Miigwech. Dankeschön, all my relations. And so it is. Our shadows are healed and reintegrated, and we're well on our way of our ascension journey. A big thank you to all our spirit guides. Okay, I'm sending you so much love and light, many blessings, and an abundance in all areas of your lives. Be well until next time. I love you all. Bye.